Go for it.
Okay, hey everybody, it's Lori Morgan Ferrero of Red Hot Coffee, and we're live here with Yafat Cohen, my lovely co-host,
Yay.
and we're talking about words that attract cash. And that you can join us live here at Facebook, but we're also, I'm going to tell you a little bit about, we're going to hop over to another platform where we can have more interaction because there's a lot more bells and whistles. It's going to be super fun. But stay here for now, comment, and let's talk and interact about what our topic is today, which is kind of, it piggybacks on what we talked about yesterday. And if you go to wordsthatattractcash.com and sign up to play and to be part of this, it's a 10-day, oh my gosh, 10 days of coaching for free about just, it's me getting my feet wet out there again after being off of speaking stages for years, after, of course I'm up to date on the stuff that counts, the stuff that works, but I really miss the kind of interaction. And now the technology is caught up to where we can literally talk to one another on camera, like the old Jetsons telephones, remember, or the Dick Tracy ones where you could talk to each other. That's like becoming a thing. We're basically there, and now the technology is good enough that we can talk all across the globe. So let's see who we have here today.
Okay.
Yafat is going to have to help me read the comments because there's several boxes going on here.
Yes. So, hey everyone, how are you? Welcome back to day 4 of Words That Attract Cash, and we're having so much fun rewarding people, playing with people, and actually meeting you guys face to face. So, if you are on Facebook, you can still comment below. I'm gonna actually do something techie that we did yesterday a little bit, and I have to have my face on camera, and you guys have to see this techie stuff. Otherwise, that's gonna be so we're just gonna bring in the comments from yesterday right here. All our Facebook comments are gonna pop up here. And so if you're in Facebook and you can comment, we'll see you right there. And if you're on our website, Words That Attract Cash, like David is, congratulations, David. You were here first. And yes, you're right. He said that by the end of today, he'll be able to complete all of the 6 months work this evening. So that's super awesome.
It is.
It is, right? If we can do that, we will do that.
Elizabeth's here. Bonnie's here. She says it's chicken day. Yes, it is indeed chicken day. I saw your post of the adorable chickens. Thank you. That was wonderful. And I put a picture of when I was at Dan Kennedy's place up in Cleveland at a very small event. He took Allie Brown and I around to his, he owns race horses. He does like harness racing. He's a little tall to do it, but it's okay. He loves it, and he owns several horses. So he took us to the barn, and I took my little red hot chicken and I stuck it on a bale of hay, and this cat was like, "What's going on?" It was so cute. So I posted that.
And so we have
darling ones. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, we have Elizabeth commenting, yay, would see. And Bonnie says chicken day. And then I'm gonna share my screen, guys, for a second and show you a little competition that is happening right here on our website. So we're having a little Twitter Pinterest competition.
It's a challenge.
A challenge. There you go, a challenge. And we just post whatever you want to post about chickens. If you don't know why chickens, watch yesterday's training, because this little chicken can really wake up your creativity. And if you want to know why, watch yesterday's training. But we're having a little challenge here with chickens, and Bonnie was the first one to do it. So Elizabeth, because of my thing there, do you want to tell her what she is winning?
Who is this for, Bonnie?
That is for Bonnie. Bonnie was the first one who actually shared here, right?
Yay! So Bonnie, what I need you to do is to choose from the list of gift cards that we have there. There's 4 of them. And I said it was going to be Amazon because typically people choose that, but you don't have to. We have Target, we have Hulu, and we have Spotify. or Amazon or Target, whatever. So just send us a little email, or you can even post it in the group here
Yeah, in the
of what
comments.
you want. We have your email, so we'll get you hooked up. And thanks for playing too. I love it. I love that people are actually figuring it out. And I'm going to be honest, and Paula's here. Thank you. But yay, Paula. I'm going to be honest and tell you that I had the hardest time figuring out Instagram. I don't know how I actually have photos on Instagram. I don't know how they got there. So if you guys know how
So
to
we're
do
gonna do
it,
Twitter. We're gonna do Twitter, right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. And that's, before we get into the content, that's something else we were talking about, Yafat and I, before we got started, is that there is so much technology out there that sometimes it's hard to weed through it all. And it's frustrating because at the end of the day, it's you who makes the difference, you who makes the connection with your prospect, and that is there to support your customer and your client. And it's the human connection, and that's why I really love what we're doing here, and that people are showing up and playing and learning at the same time and asking questions and contributing. It's so much better than me just talking at you. I mean, how boring is that? You could just go up, you can go and Google anything basically that you want to learn how to do, and it's right there at your fingertips. So actually, do you want to show them that example before we get started?
Yeah. Okay,
Because
so
it
so
was
I'm
pretty
gonna start
powerful.
with a little. So I'll start with a little rant, and the rant is that there's a lot of slick technology out there in terms of like funnels and where you take people to and how you write your emails and how you should have your headlines, all that stuff. So if you guys want to join me in this rant, just put it in the comments. What is it that you want to learn, right? So we're talking about copy and we're talking about words that attract cash, right? So yeah, I'm going to share my screen again and show you guys what are we talking about. So from sharing my screen, and I'm
Awesome.
gonna go to Google right now, and I'm going to search for what do we say? How to write headlines, and because we're talking about copy. So if we want to see how to write headlines, right, automatically you have this little card, 5 easy tricks, and then you're gonna go down and you're going to see 5 easy tricks and 55 easy ways and another 10 questions and 9 tips. All together, you have like 100 things that you can learn. All you want to know is the one thing that's working for you. All you need
Yeah.
to know is like, what is my copy? Does my headline work? And if you have a ton of time and money, then you could go and read all that stuff and then write 10 headlines and then spend money testing them with Facebook ads and Twitter ads and Google ads and all that stuff, right? And by the end of a month, you would have data that tells you which headline actually performs better. Or you could come in to these training and talk to someone who's been there, done that, got paid a lot of money to figure out, copywriting and headlines and conversion and all that stuff, and be like, Lori, what do you think about my headline? And Lori will take all her years of experience, all her friends, all her knowledge, all the stuff that, in her brain that cannot be put onto a video to explain to you why your headline works or doesn't, and give you an answer in like 2 minutes and save you
Right.
a month of testing and month and money and all that stuff. All you need is her brain on your stuff, and you don't get that with videos, articles, and anything static. Which is why what she's doing right now is amazing, because you can come in here, bring her all your copy, which is like what Teresa just won. There you go, right? She won
Uh,
30 minutes of Lori's brain on her
right.
specific business. You
Right.
guys can do exactly the same. You can click that join the hangout link. You can come in here and you can ask Lori, be like, hey, what do you think about my market? From your experience, what relates to them, what works, what doesn't work. Save yourself all that stuff. Plus, save yourself the cost of like setting up flashy website and really nice images and tons of video and editing and producing and all that stuff. Just come in here and talk to a person face to face. You don't even have to leave your house.
Right.
So, and rant.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I have to jump onto the rant because I actually sort of picked at this scab a little bit this morning because yesterday I was looking around and talking to people about this program and looking around at other people's programs. And I got so frustrated because what I found was that I went to this one guy's website who's supposedly a really great expert. I hadn't heard of him. It doesn't matter. But he has a lot of good friends, apparently, and he's very well connected, and he's got some money behind his systems. And when I went to his page, it's like asking me questions to fill out a survey to give him answers about what he wants to sell to me, where I'm just there for information. Or you know, it was, the bottom line is it was this factory of churning out information and copy and messaging. It was the factory, not an emotional connection. I felt cold going there, and it made me so angry and frustrated because all I wanted to do was to talk to somebody. And there's a lot of bots out there that fake that too. And I'm not opposed to using technology. If it's there, go for it, use it. But when it starts getting in the way of you having a genuine, authentic human connection, that's the problem. Because you need to go back to the basics to actually make all of these mechanisms work, right? You've got to have the emotional aspect and the connection. And we're going to talk about some of that today. We've been talking about it with stories, and tomorrow is actually a really big day about talking about emotional connection. But at any rate, today we're going to talk about getting crap done.
Yes, and let me just say what Bill just posted, which is awesome. He says, a copywriter I know said, everyone can be a copywriter today. All you need to do is test. I love that.
Right? And how long does that take? It's true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to download our worksheet from our page, and we're going to talk about productivity today. And guys, we would love to have you join us right now so you can actually get to pick Lori's brain from the beginning. If you want to, click the join the party. Make sure you mute yourselves. Join the party. And one thing we forgot to say, right here to the right, I believe. I think I'm right.
That side.
Gift cards, and we're going to continue our little challenge for tomorrow. So if you want to post today and tomorrow pictures of chickens talking about creativity and stuff like that, tomorrow you'll be able to pick your own gift card. So let's dive into the worksheet, Lori.
Excellent. Let's do that. But first, there's a couple of comments that I'm seeing on the Facebook, not the Facebook, on the other one, on words that attract cash. And Bonnie says she has a chicken themed kitchen, so that made it really easy, which it does. And then Kara said, what do you think about that I prefer roosters? I'm not sure what that says about you, Kara, but I got to tell you, we had some discussion of whether the red hot chicken was a female or a rooster. So I think it's a female, but it does have a comb on its head, which is kind of rooster-esque. Anyway, I'm not sure. I think as long as you use the principles of it, which is keeping your time in small defined chunks, that you're going to be just fine. So yes, then Paula printed out her worksheet. Excellent. And so this is going to be fun too. We're just going to go through a few questions to see how put together your act is. So the first question is, when do you plan your day? And again, we talked a little bit about some of this yesterday, right? So you can put in, you can type it in. How do we do this, Yafat? So they type in their answers?
Oh, yeah. So we're yeah. So A, B, or C, when do you plan your day? That morning, the week before, what's planning? So put A, B, or C. And before we go to that, let's give them some like 5 minutes or so to answer that and put that in the comments. And let's talk about why is it important to plan your day?
Excellent. Excellent. Well, we all have 24 hours in the day, obviously. And some people get a lot more done than other people do. And so what are the secrets behind that? And I was actually had to dig out my 4-Hour Work Week. Everyone's probably read this.
No, I didn't.
You haven't read it? Well, it's I've met Tim. He's a great guy.
Oh, I know. I heard about it. Never read it.
Yeah, of course, of course. But it's a little bit of a myth, but he does have a few things, a lot of really good tips in there about how to be more productive in your day. And so why do you think it's important to plan ahead? You thought, and
Oh,
people also just go ahead and type that in.
so why is it important to plan ahead? Because that famous quote, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail,
Plan
right?
and fail, exactly. The first place I read that was Bill Phillips, who I also met through Joe Polish. I'm like kind of a big name dropper. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people in the business, but that's my that's one of my favorite quotes, and one of the ones that I need to use the most, because if you do fail to plan, then the time's just going to slip away from you and slip away from you, and it's going to go forward either way,
Right.
whether you do something or not. So it's always better to kind of get yourself into motion, even for short bursts of time, which is why we love our timers, just to get things actually going. So how do you what do you do about planning your day? Oh,
Me,
David Watson says he's afraid. Go
me,
ahead. It's too
I'm
funny.
really, I'm like David Watson, who says, "I'm terrified to give my answers. They're all bad." So me and David are in the same boat here.
Right.
But let me tell you what other people have said. So Gabby from Israel, hey Gabby, I love that you're joining us every day. Gabby says A and B. So A and B is that morning and the week before, and Bonnie says A, or the evening before, and Teresa says that morning.
Excellent.
And yeah, so what is it? What is the answer to our Laura?
There's nothing wrong with it, except for C, because you do want to plan, but it is what works best for you. And I'm curious, especially to hear from you, your thought about what sorts of tools that you use to plan your day. Like I'll tell you, for me personally, when I'm in monster mode and I'm really working hard, I will plan the night before and even that week before. That's not normal for me. That's if I'm in a launch, or if I'm, I have a lot on my plate, like I do right now, actually. And that when you plan ahead like that, it obviously makes a huge difference. So my favorite tool is so basic. It's just Google Calendar, and I go in there and I block off every minute of the day of the times that I'm going to be working.
Mm-hmm.
And that includes my nap time, because I'm a napper. That includes checking email, and that includes the marketing, doing things that are productive for my business, or whatever it is. But when you actually manage every minute of your working day, you're going to see so many more results. And so if you're really trying to get stuff done, like a lot of us are, and it's, that's one of the traps of being an entrepreneur. And I know everyone on here is not an entrepreneur, but that is the people who tend to join in. But at any rate, if you let your day go, then you're just not going to get your stuff done. And my point was, I just lost it for a second. My point is, we have freedom. We have the whole, like when I wake up in the day, I can just, like, probably like you, Teresa, I can just go, what do I want to do today? I have 8 hours. I can do whatever I want, and what needs to be fit in there. But if you do it before you wake up, like the day before or the week before, you have a lot, you're not reacting to things as well or as much as you are taking control.
Totally. And so what's interesting is the taskbar on the bottom of your monitor that has the clock running there on the right side. I know you Mac
Yes,
people probably don't, but
we have a clock on the top.
okay. So I hide that clock because every time I look at that clock, I'm like, oh my God, I only have this much time. Oh my God, I only have this much time. And it puts me like stress mode of like, okay, what am I doing? What am I doing? You know, catch up, catch up. But I hide it. I turn my cell phone completely off. And when I need to focus, I just turn all my social media off. And then, you know, time
Yes.
flies. You just get stuff done, right?
Yes, definitely. I think that's a wonderful tip. I never thought about that, turning the clock off itself. Um, because to me, like, I think it's important to manage that time. So
Well,
if you're
especially
using a
if you put a time.
timer,
Yeah,
you don't
exactly.
have to
If you
see
put,
it.
yeah, if you put a timer, you don't really need the clock, right? Because you have something timing you.
Exactly.
And Elizabeth there says that she tries to schedule, but it dies. It dies so easily. She tried to follow a schedule, but it dies easily.
I
So yeah,
yeah, I
we
get
hear
that
you.
up. I get that too. All right, well, let's look at the next question. So,
Okay, so let's
oh,
I'll share my screen and let me share my screen so you guys can see it, all of you on Facebook and all that stuff. Um, and while you guys answering that one, we'll share what people were saying about the first one. So number two, you block out your time, and let me know if you can see it, or is it like, there you go.
yeah.
You block out your time. A, if I have an appointment. B, I block out every working hour. C, what do you mean block out my time? So
Right.
A, B, or C, put that in the comments below, and we're gonna answer that. And whoopsie, there we go. Bill was saying first he said he canceled his cable TV last month, and he's more productive, calm, no politics, no murders. I'm with you there. I'm on a news diet too.
I like it.
Right, and he's asking how many hours do you, Lori, work per day and per week?
Ooh, on the spot. Okay, well,
Yeah,
right now I'm working a little more than I normally do, but for me, honestly, working a 4 hour day is about all I can manage because writing is a very mental uh,
exercise. Yeah,
energy. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it takes a lot of time it takes a lot of focus, and it's tiring. So for me, 4 hours of writing is what I do, and then I will go and do other things like social media, which is fun and a distraction for me. And I will say I've got to tell on myself on this one, but I do interweave the social media with my writing, and that's bad on me. I need to not do that in order to be more productive, especially um, during times where I have more to do than I need to finish, or that I feels like I can't finish when I feel overwhelmed. So I would say I probably right now I work about 6 hours a day, and I used to work at nights too. And then my husband got kind of annoyed. He's like, "You're always in front of your computer." And so I stopped doing that. And it felt really good because at the end of the day, it's like a reward, like a
Yeah,
normal person who has a regular job. And
right.
yeah, you get to actually stop working, have a nice dinner, relax, and put it aside. Now, it's hard when your business is your baby, like a lot of us.
Right.
That's the way it is. So it's kind of hard to put it out of mind. But what happens is you come back to it more fresh and excited. And when you're like that, you're going to have a much different experience and better results than if you just work yourself to the bone. And that's what I was doing years ago. I'll tell you a quick story. I had a client that I could not make this man happy for the life of me, which is very rare because I work really close with my clients until we get what it is that they need. But this guy was not having it. And we got along very well. We seemed to. I thought we were on the same page, but something was just missing. Like he was zigging and I was zagging, and even when I was on vacation, I would be working in the hotel room on this man's stuff, so much so that I ended up having to go to the hospital
Wow.
from from high blood pressure, which runs in my family. But it's that you really can't take that too lightly. That you have to watch your health as well, as you know, when you're growing your businesses and taking care of things. So that was a big lesson for me.
Yeah, totally. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So Bill says he thinks 4 hours of productivity work is great. Yes, if you can get four
Right.
hours of productivity, I think that's really, really awesome, right? Um, and Elizabeth
Right.
says block time works best for me when I plan to work at other locations. Block time at home
Ooh.
tend to eat away by family and pets, and she has a lot of pets.
Yeah. that is that's very true. I have two dogs and they're kind of annoying and they want attention.
Attention.
They're not annoying. They like
Yeah, need attention.
their doggy time.
Yeah. So the answers that we're getting so far for you block out your time if you have an appointment. I block out every working hour. What do you mean? So people are saying A. Gabby says A, and Bonnie says A, and Bill says that you can't win with losers. So,
It's true.
so what is the answer?
So, well, again, there's really no wrong answer other than what works for you, and you actually get crap done because that's what it means at the end of the day. Um, but like I was mentioning earlier, when I'm in monster productivity mode, I do block out every hour of the working day. And sometimes even into the night, if it has to be that way. I tend to not work on the weekends if I can avoid it. But again, I'll do whatever has to be done to get the job done. But if you really want to get things done, literally blocking out your day in 15 minutes or 30 minutes structure, however it works for you. And I actually, Dan Kennedy is the first person that I heard this from. And I know there are also other systems. For instance, Dan Sullivan, the strategic coach, has a system where specific days are blocked out for admin, for marketing, for personal things. And I don't actually know his exact system, but it's works for a lot of people that way as well. To just take, like, this is my day to do admin. Now the problem with that for me, and you thought you could jump in on this too, and also anybody else, the problem with that for me is making it like a solid writing day. Is sometimes things come up, customer service issues come up, and people do need to be taken care of. And
Exactly.
because I'm
Yep.
a high touch coach, I like to pay attention to that as well. So that's
Yeah,
what works for
totally.
me. Is
I completely, and that's why I actually never did any of these things, because I always felt like, okay, I block my calendar and then something happens and then I just feel bad that I have all this time blocked and I never, you know, worked with it. And I was like, okay, I'll just, you know, block it mentally in my head.
you're right, it's true. But I have to tell you that doing it on a calendar or doing it written down, where it's, even if it's handwritten, it makes a big difference. It's this energetic thing of literally writing something down or seeing it on your screen, that okay, that has to happen then.
Right.
And you're right, you have a small son. I raised my kids. Sometimes family stuff comes up, and that's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
And we're lucky that we get to be that flexible with our careers, I have to say.
True. So so let's do the next one. And Bill is coming up with questions. Bill, you're gonna have to jump into our hangout and ask us these questions face to face. Teresa says
I
that family
I love it.
definitely eats away her block time, and she might try leaving the house, get some productive time. So maybe you and Elizabeth can meet and be productive together.
I love that. I have to tell you, I tried to set up an office in my husband's office, because he had a whole conference room that he set up for me, and I made all these demands. I'm like, I want a gigantic 8-foot whiteboard, and I want a desk that folds down so I can take a nap in the afternoon, and I want a big screen, and I want lights so I can do video and all this stuff. I never go to that office ever.
Okay.
It's all set up, and I could get so much done there, but I just don't. I don't go. So, but
It's
I
like
think that it makes a big difference to get out of your environment. So do what I say, not what I do.
Exactly. So let's jump to the next one, which is actually answering some of the questions that other people are having, and it is, do you plan your meals ahead of time? Yes, no. And Lori, if we're basing this based on the answers that you gave so far, I'm assuming the answer is yes.
The answer is that it's a time saver if you do. Absolutely. And if you don't, that's okay too. And this is something else I learned from Bill Phillips. I have Body for Life. If you are familiar with that book, it's from the 90s, but it's a very good, it's a way to fit exercise into your life, your meals into your life, your work into your life, and your fun into your life. That it's using a lot of these same principles. And I have to tell you, when I was doing it, it's a 90-day program, and
Mhm.
when I was doing it, I was more organized than I've ever been, and I got
Really?
more done in just like, I would exercise for 20 minutes. That's all he wants you to do, 20 minutes. Who can't do that? And planning your meals ahead of time so you don't impulsively eat. Just like it's the same with, impulsively being distracted by social media or
Yeah.
things that show up, as like emergencies. And by the way, Bill says, I love this, that Dan Kennedy says there's no such thing as an emergency, screw clients. It's true. To a degree, we're a little different though. He's a little more gruff than I am. So, well, what do you guys think about that, about planning your meals ahead of time?
So,
You think that would help
well,
you planning
Gabby
your meals
says
ahead?
no, she doesn't. Bonnie says she does most of the time. David says he doesn't plan his meals and his weight has suffered because of it. Um, and Teresa says, I used to, I should start again. It keeps me from eating junk too. So, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's funny. I heard there was a lady who did a little live video, and she said, what's the difference between affirmation and what's the other one? There's affirmation and something else. Like, so the affirmation, I think, is I'm rich, I'm smart, I'm thin, I'm energized, and your brain goes like bullshit. And she goes like, instead, what she says is like, you need to start asking yourself better questions, like, hey, why am I so successful? And then your brain will come up with the good reasons why, and you'll be surprised at what comes up and all that stuff, and you start thinking positive. And I started saying like, hey, why do I lose all this weight eating desserts all the time?
I
And
like
we'll see
it.
what happens. So David, maybe you want to try it with me.
Try it. No, let's do that. I like that. Well, definitely having a positive attitude makes a difference, and I think that's the difference. The affirmations is using a positive way of couching your language, and you are not to use a negative. You don't use the word never or not or I don't do this. You always say I do. I make healthy choices. I plan my meals. And you're right. A lot of times in the back of your head, you'll go like, "Oh, that's bullshit." But uh,
No, but if you
when you say
say,
it enough,
right, if you say, why do I do that? So you're not telling yourself, I'm successful, I'm rich, I'm stuff. You're like, why am I losing weight when all I eat is dessert? Why am I so successful? Why do I have so much energy in the morning? Your body will be like, oh, because you drink so much water. I don't know. It's like your body will
right?
come up with some answer. Like you have to
I
answer
like
that
it.
question somehow. So if you ask like a really great way of like, well, why does all my copy convert every time I write something? It convert. Why? What makes it convert so much? Oh, I really connect with my audience. I don't know. Answers will come up. It'll be
I
very
like that.
interesting to see, right?
That's a really great tip. Honestly, I haven't heard of it. Just a slight pivot, and I really like that. I think that makes a big difference. And then you start seeing the positive. You start living the positive
Yes.
when you use the language shifts. And that goes back to the power of words, doesn't it? I
Yeah.
mean,
Mm-hmm.
it definitely does.
Yeah. Okay. So last one. Is it no? So do you guys? Let me share my screen again. Right
This is on
here.
the
The same
same
one.
concept.
Yes. So do you plan your exercise? And I can't remember who was the lady yesterday that was doing that first thing in the morning. Julie, right?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
right.
Julie
Yes.
plans her exercise in the morning. So Do you guys plan your exercise and do you plan your downtime? Let us know. Do you? I know, Lori, you plan your downtime.
I do plan my downtime. I do indeed. Oops, I'm sorry, I'm shaking. Um, yeah, because naps are important. Sleep is important to me. That
Yes,
I
it is.
think better. Everything is better. And Bill says something awesome here about having a balanced life, and I think that's really what we're talking about more than anything else. It seems like most successful coaches are balanced in
Mm-hmm.
their lives, and no balance equals no money. I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good mantra right there. No balance equals no money, and that's what we're looking at, is how to actually, instead of procrastinating and putting things off, how we literally are able to get things done
Yeah.
like other successful people do.
Yes.
and
It's
and then so the downtime, um it's more than naps though, right? It's more than planning things. It's also looking at your year and planning when you're going to have vacations. Like, do you guys take vacations? I'm curious about that. Do you plan for vacations um, within the year, or do you have anything coming up? Do you wait and see if there's any really cool events that are happening that you might want to maybe
do,
make
yeah.
into a edu vacation?
Right. So you know what's interesting is I have my son every other weekend. So every other weekend by force, so by choice, he's I have to take time off because it's mommy and son time, and
Absolutely.
yeah. And you get that, right? Like you blink and they're grown.
Oh my
So
gosh. Yeah.
yeah, so I get one weekend to work and one weekend with him, and so it's kind of like on the schedule, I guess, right? um so I don't know if that counts towards like planning vacations, but it's kind of
Well,
like,
it
okay, there's
does.
summer, right?
You're planning your downtime, and Bill said another perfect one. Bill's the well, I think Tony was also one of our
Yes.
wise people the other day. But Bill says it seems like the more I plan, the more money I make. Yeah, it's really true. And so even though
Hashtag words that attract cash.
words that attract cash, even though it's not like a sexy topic, let's be productive, it really does make it makes a big difference in the bottom line. And so it's just, even though these are really pretty basic questions and it's not rocket science, but if you don't look at it, you don't make those types of changes. And that's what has to happen for you to be successful and to reach your goals.
So is that the next step of our page right here? Actually, the right.
It is. It is.
So that's
I
we're
have a
going
lot of these.
straight
I'm
into the
curious.
what's that?
The procrastinations, like what are your go-to procrastinations that you'll do? You have a big project, you have, like, you're supposed to eat that frog, but you go, oh, instead I'm gonna do X. So what is your big, I'm so curious to hear what people say about this.
So
um
guys, write down in the comment one, two, three. What are your go-to procrastinations, and how do you talk yourself out of them? I thought you're gonna be like, how do you talk yourself into them? I'm like, oh, easy.
that's easy. That's the easy part.
But
That's
yeah, my go-to is actually movies and series, and I haven't watched Orange is the New Black and House of Cards until I finish them. So like that's my vacation, right? Finish something and then you can binge.
It's your reward. It's your reward.
Yes,
I
totally.
think that's a really great tip also, is like to give yourself rewards for accomplishing the kinds of things that you know you need to accomplish.
Yes.
And delayed gratification, which is something that is not very popular anymore because people want instantaneous answers and action, but it's something that is very powerful. Being able to discipline yourself enough to wait to watch something. Like mine is American Gods right now. I love that show, and I'm dying for it to come. The ending on Sunday, I'm dying. But
You dying for it to end, or you don't want it
I
to end?
no, I'm pre-sad that it's ending. I want it to go on forever. But it's, you know, I have to finish my work. So it's almost like what you're doing. It's on Sunday night, and you better be sure I'm going to be watching it. So that means I've got to get my work done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
So
that's a
let's
forced delayed gratification.
right. Let's Paula is here with us. So Paula, can you unmute if you know how to, and tell us how do you get yourself out of procrastination? So let me see if I can unmute her. I'm gonna put you on the spot, Paula.
Oh, look at this.
Uh,
Oh, this is fun.
yeah, let's see.
Yeah, don't get all freaked out about. I mean, at the end of the day, this is just us having a conversation, even though there's all kinds of technological magic
Fun
going
stuff in
on.
there. Yeah, and I don't know if I can get her. I don't know if you want to talk. Do you want to talk, Paula?
Well,
If not,
maybe she
just put it
doesn't.
in the chat.
She's been very active on her comments and whatnot, and I see week, week, week. I don't know. I'm not sure what that meant.
Oh, she's
type.
Okay.
Oh,
so
I guess she doesn't want to talk. She doesn't want to be put on the spot. That's okay. No worries. Don't worry.
So, but if you guys want to join us right here and actually tell us and talk to us face to face, we would love for you to do that. Just click the join the party button right below this hangout. And if you're on Facebook, come over to wordsthatattractcash.com and you'll be sent right away to this live page that we are on. And you can, like we said at the beginning, pick Lori's brain because she's here for you. So Teresa says that researching too much in social media. So that's your procrastination, or is that how you get over procrastination? What's that thingy there?
You know what? I'm going to say to Teresa that I do the same thing. Social media is instant procrastination. Even though I say to myself, hey, I'm a social person. I need to be connecting to people. It's very important that I'm on Facebook, but it becomes a crutch, right, Teresa? And the same with researching. It's like, at what point do you have enough research to do what you need to do? It's almost like saying, well, how long is a piece of string? But at some point you're done. You have enough to actually write. And you know what a lot of writers will do, that this is a fun fact for you guys, is they will, especially like, I have a journalism degree, or maybe you don't know that, but I do. And one of the things that we would have to do because of the deadlines is just write fast, vomit right, just like blah. And then you would go back and then you would fill in the research from there. And this was before the internet. I'm old. So you would have to go to the library, and it wasn't at your fingertips. So in the way, the internet's kind of helps add to that procrastination, because it's right there and it's a treasure trove of information. So I get it. I get wanting to do a lot of research.
So Bill found a way. He hired a very expensive coach, and he had to get productive or waste $70,000 a year. So yeah, I guess that will get your butt into gear.
That will get your butt into gear. I've done the same. I've hired coaches for the same, not for that reason specifically, but when you spend a lot of money on a coach, then you get serious pretty quickly. Yeah. And I'm a big fan of having a coach. Right now I'm in between coaches, by the way. So I'm kind of giving feelers out there. But I've studied with Gary Halbert and Matt Fury and John Benson and Alex Medosian and John Carlton and Dan Kennedy. And Allie Brown, I actually did a year with Allie. So yeah, I've spent a lot of money on that stuff too. And it does make you more productive. And it's good to have someone kicking you in the pants.
Yepper. And then let's see. So Gabby says that 2-3 times a year at the Dead Sea. I love the Dead Sea. It's so healing. And she says books. So are books helping you stay away from procrastination, or?
Yeah, I think that's what her question was. Her answer was I read it at the right time. I don't know. Maybe you can clarify that about books, Gabby. What did you mean? Like, is that your downtime, or is that your procrastination time?
Right.
What do you think?
And so what do you do, Lori, when you don't want to procrastinate? I think we talked about it a little bit in this 4 days. You eat the frog first. You swallow the frog first. You use your little chicken timer, right?
Right.
And you have rewards. Is there any other productivity tips that you got from all your mentors and all your connections that can really help these guys without spending $70,000 on a coach?
Yes, let me give you some tips that from my bank account. that,
Exactly.
when I studied with Matt Fury, actually had a very interesting philosophy, and it goes kind of back to the chicken dance, to motion, and getting out of your environment and actually moving your body. So what Matt would do would be, and he's a martial artist, and so he would walk on the beach backwards, like for, I'm not sure for how long, but he would walk backwards because it makes you think of it just uses a different part of your brain. Just like if you write with your left hand, if you're
Hmm.
right-handed, right? Or
Yeah.
those kinds of things. So shaking up what you normally do, get out of your place, get out of your environment. Take a walk around the block. What was your cute little joke about the block?
Oh,
Walking
that
around the
you
block.
you have a little block of wood and you put it in the middle of your living room and you walk around it twice. And you're like, I walked twice around the block.
So if that works for you, that's good too. But honestly, getting out of your environment and getting into a little bit of motion, just enough to kind of reset those circuits. That's really all you need to do to keep things going.
So, another funny joke about that is someone says we need to change the name of the restroom from a John to a gym. They'll be like, yeah, I went to the gym twice today.
That's hysterical. I love that. That's great.
So,
So I want to point out that I am, even though I'm not here to teach you copy per se, but I'm very open to any sorts of critiques that you want to pop up here. And if I don't get to them during the call, I will get to them afterwards. But I promise I will get to them because I want to know what people are interested in learning about. Um, headlines, subject lines, how to get your emails opened, those kinds of things, and just like the whole marketing system. Like I said, tomorrow we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the neuroscience and some of the emotional aspects of integrating into your marketing. But there's also fundamentals, getting back to the basics, like we were saying, getting back to the basics of how to connect with your audience and what sorts of language actually works, and in what style. Are video sales letters still working? Or are people numb to them anymore?
so
Um,
this will be great actually for you guys to just say, like, so do you feel that you've been marketed to lately, like in the past 6 months, right? Are you more marketed to, or are you more talked with or communicated with? How do you feel like around the world of marketing? It seems like Bill has been around the block more than 2 times.
it
Um,
seems like it.
right? And Teresa is here doing the same thing, and Gabby probably the same thing, and David Watson same thing. So, how do you feel about marketing? And what is your are you like confused or want to learn more about how do you not talk to people or advertise to them, but want to connect with them more? Is that where your spot, like what you feel is missing? Because to the last 5 days, we are actually going to talk about 5 factors, right? The flirt factor, the trust factor, the close factor. So this will really help you put up the blocks in
Yeah,
your
this is
system.
the system. That's exactly right. Exactly, of how I actually treat a client from beginning to end, or a prospect, let's say, to getting them to be a client. It's much more high touch and high communication than what a lot of the stuff is that's out there, that's frustrating to me.
Hmm.
And it's what's interesting is those kinds of things, that emotion, that the real humanity of it is that's missing from their marketing. They have the mechanisms, they have everything all set up, but then when you miss that major mark, then you're not connecting with people. And let's be honest, you're not selling anything either, because if
Right.
they're not connected with you, if they don't trust you, they're not going to buy from you.
Right.
And that's not why you're in business. You're in business to sell something, whether it's a product, a service, whatever it is. So it's important to have the human connection.
And so when we do we work on our productivity, we try to take all the distraction out, right? Distractions out, and not destruct anything. We're taking the distractions out and we minimize the human connection. And then we use the little timer to get us into those burst of creativity. And and then we move our body, like we said, twice around the block. And we use planning. So you use Google Calendar as the planner. Are there any other tools that you know or recommend to use as planning that can actually help you get more productive?
One of my favorites is mind maps.
Mm.
And I learned these about them really from Yannick Silver a long time ago. A lot of like Harlan Kilstein is a big fan of them. A lot of people really like them. And you can do them. This is what's so cool about mind maps is you can do them by hand. So what a mind map is basically you have, I know you guys probably already know this, but you have your main topic. Can you even see that? No. Anyway, you have a central topic and you have offshoots of ideas that it's that come to you that are related to that topic, and then you start to sort them out. And it's really a wonderful tool, whether you do it by hand or there are a lot of programs. There's some free ones, but my favorite one is not a free one. It's called MindJet, and it also has flow charts and whatnot. Oh, look at you!
See?
Excellent. It's also fun in a way. Like, this one's a really fun program. What is that one?
No, this is just an image from Google because we
Oh,
can find everything on Google, right? So time management, you get the clarity, you get the monitoring, communication, feedback, support, praise, key issues. So what's great about this one, right, Lori? I think this is where you're going with this. This can give you ideas of what to write about.
yes, exactly. And how to organize it. And as a writer or as a marketer or anybody getting a message out, that's one of the most challenging pieces, because copy isn't linear necessarily. It's really there's all these thoughts that are out there, and you need to kind of wrangle them in like a herd of cats and then start organizing them so that they make sense and that they integrate with the right message that you want to say.
Totally. So Billy's asking, is the headline still the most important part of the copy? He goes like, Halbert says each line must lead the prospect to read the next line. So what do you think? The headline is the most important part of the copy?
Do I? Yes, I do. I do, because if they don't read the headline, they're not going to read past much further, or anything above the fold. I would say that is the most important part. And for an email, that would be your subject line, right? So it's the first thing that they see, the first thing that gets their attention is what's the most important. And I believe Howard probably said that each line must lead the prospect to read the next line. But I know it from Joe Sugarman, because he calls it the bucket brigade. And the bucket brigade was a long time ago in towns before they had fire stations. If there was a fire in the town, the townspeople would line up to the well and they would pass a bucket as fast as they could to the fire and pass it back to fill it up again with more water. So it was like the greased slide that you've also heard that metaphor as well. So the bucket brigade is like the next sentence takes you to the next one, or the next bucket takes you to the next person. And it does flow. And I do believe that the headline is still the most important. And I also wanted to answer another question that Bill put up that I saw was kind of cute. He said, who am I most like over? I have to go back down to see this. Yeah, I don't have a disdain for clients, but I do think that they can suck. So Bill says, am I like Halbert, Makepeace, Carlton, or Kennedy? Who am I most like? I would say that I most like either Carlton or Halbert. Um, Makepeace and Kennedy are a little gruffer than me. I'm a lot more approachable, and although they all have really good senses of humor, and that's what's kind of interesting is copywriters, marketers in general tend to be a little off color and a little more lighthearted than, or maybe not lighthearted. That's not the right word, uh, but but funny. They see the things from a little slanted view, and so the reason I feel like I'm more like Carlton is because he he's actually hilarious, even though you don't necessarily know it because he's also kind of introverted and shy. And I'm also introverted. I'm not particularly shy, but the difference between an introverted and an extrovert, if you don't know, is the introverts, when they're around other people, the energy gets sucked out of them. So when you're at a big event, you need to take breaks and so you don't lose all your energy, so you're not depleted. And an extrovert gets off on all that energy. They love it. It charges them up. And so what's interesting is a lot of marketers, a lot of copywriters are introverted extroverts. And so they're able to go out and to joke and to rib people, you know, in the bars or wherever. But they also need to come back to their center and replenish, which is why I like naps. So that was a great question. I like that. Was a fun one, Bill. Thank you.
So we are again. Time flies when you're having
Oh
fun.
my goodness.
Tomorrow is the weekend, but we will still meet with you here today. So bring your lunch, or bring your coffee, or bring your drink, or bring your poison of choice.
Absolutely.
And remember, we are still playing. Like you can win one of those little gift cards. So I'm going to share my screen again so you can see.
Awesome. And Bonnie won today. Bonnie Schooler, thank you so much. And Michelle, you are really doing amazing keeping up and
Yes.
watching the replays. I'm very impressed because I know that there's a lot of information, even though we're trying to be respectful of your time and keep things down to an hour. We've been pretty good about doing that, I think, actually.
Yes,
We've been
we
very
are. We're
respectful.
very good at that. So tomorrow you can pick your card of choice: Hulu, Spotify, Amazon, Target. And all you have to do is just share some of your creativity with this hashtag, words that are trash cash. Use that on Twitter. It will show up here. And
Instagram, if you can figure it out.
And if you can figure it out, but it will show up here and we can see what you're doing, and you can do that even while we are live, and you may be one of our winners. So same time, same place tomorrow, right here. And what are we going to talk about, Lori?
Tomorrow we're going to talk about the beginning of the system that I use to market, basically from beginning to end. So we're going to talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is, you know, what you have to have satisfied in your life before you can move on to bringing other things into your life. And it's a really critical piece that a lot of marketers are actually kind of learning more about. But I'll save some of the surprise for tomorrow, but we'll be talking about that. And we're also going to talk about push marketing versus pull marketing, and what are the advantages and disadvantages to both of those. And again, any sort of critiquing or copy, use me. I'm here for the next 5 days, and I'll be checking in on these comments. It's really, really fun. I'm enjoying the interaction quite a bit.
Yay. So so tomorrow we will be here, same time, same place. Hey, Bonnie just jumped in. Bonnie, do you want to say something before we leave? Let's see. Hey, Bonnie.
Hi. Congratulations.
We can hear you. I don't know if you can hear us.
That's all right. That's fine.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll watch for my email. It'll come out today.
Okay, so we are at the end of today, day 4. That's crazy, right? That we're almost done. And tomorrow it's going to be pool versus food and other awesome things. So, Lori, last words of advice.
Last words of advice is schedule some time to hang out with us tomorrow. We're going to talk it's about the sexy side of marketing. And again, this is all free. I'm doing it very selfishly because I want to talk more with people and to find out, to not be so isolated, to find out what's going on. So you should do the same thing and show up and let me know what you need some help with, and I'm happy to do it.
So until we meet again, guys, tomorrow, hopefully we'll meet face to face. Have an awesome rest of Friday. Hopefully you're partying or doing something fun. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Thanks so much for sharing.